Hi there, and welcome to the Salted Pepper, where we cook for real life, using real food, and we keep it real simple. And today we're gonna make spaghetti in the Ninja Foodi. And it might seem like it's pretty straightforward and quick, just dump in ingredients, set the pressure and go, but there are a few tricks that you need to know in order to avoid that burn notice. We don't want the burn notice. So real quick about that before we get started is thicker sauces like cream sauces, cheese sauces, or spaghetti sauces are not the liquid that you need to come up to pressure. And that's why a lot of the recipes that you'll see will call for what you might think is a ton of liquid. And I was right there with you and I thought, no way, I'm not putting in that much liquid into my spaghetti. And guess what? I got the burn notice. So I came up with a little formula and it works really well for me. So hopefully it'll work for you as well. First thing we're gonna do is get the pot started on the sear saute, and it can be on the high, that's fine, and just hit start. And we're gonna dump in our ground beef and our chopped onions. I have about a cup of onions. You can let this heat up or you can just dump it in right away. It doesn't make a difference, it will heat up really quickly. And so we're gonna dump in our cup of diced onions. Now this is optional, but I think that onions really add a nice flavor to the spaghetti. And we're just gonna let that saute. And I'm gonna use this mix and chop, which is good for the non-stick Foodi inner pot to kind of break up the hamburger. And this is thawed hamburger that I brought to room temperature for about 30 minutes. You could use frozen hamburger with this. You would do it a little bit differently, and I might do a video on that too, because I know a lot of people, you'll forget to take out the ground beef, and it is possible to do it from frozen. So let's just let this pot come up to temperature. Meanwhile, I have 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1 teaspoon of basil, and 1 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And I'm just gonna sprinkle that on. It is important that you put your seasonings in now with the meat. You wanna season the meat really well, and that'll bring flavor into the dish. It's starting to sizzle now, and that took just a few minutes. And now I'm gonna use my mix and chop, which I will link to below, because this has really become a very handy kitchen gadget to use in the Foodi, since you do need to make sure that you don't use any metal in this pot or you will scratch it. So we're just gonna break that up into smaller pieces. Now this is 80-20. I will see how much fat drains off. I may actually put it through a strainer real quick to remove some of that fat so I don't have an overly greasy spaghetti sauce. But another thing you could do if you like mushrooms, which I do, I just didn't happen to have any, is you could quarter up your mushrooms, put those in. They will absorb the fat from the ground beef, add a really nice flavor to your spaghetti sauce, and you won't have to strain the beef. But I forgot to buy them at the store. So when your hamburger meat is about 3/4 of the way done, you can go ahead and add in any other vegetables that you want to use. I've chosen some green peppers and also some cut up zucchini. Well, that is completely optional, of course, but I had it in the fridge and I needed to use it up, so I thought, hey, I was gonna add some moisture in, and you won't even know it's in there. So it's a great way to add those extra vegetables for kids. Okay, next thing I'm gonna put in is 1 whole bulb of roasted garlic. Now I roasted the garlic in the Ninja Foodi a little bit earlier, and I simply put the bake function on 325, cut the top off of the garlic, put a little bit of olive oil, and wrapped it in tin foil and threw it in the Foodi on the rack and let it go for 35 minutes, and I had a perfect bulb of roasted garlic. This will really, really give your sauce a lot of flavor without being too bitter. Sometimes, if you put too much garlic in, it can be a little bit bitter. So this will actually help to sweeten the sauce. Now, if you want to use regular garlic that hasn't been roasted, that's fine. I would recommend using probably 3 to 4 cloves at the most, and you could just mince those right in. But I really love the way the roasted garlic enhances the sauce. When you cook spaghetti sauce on the stove, the more you reduce those tomatoes, the less acid that they have, so the sweeter they become. We're not gonna do that today because we're gonna make this a really quick dinner. So I am gonna add in a teaspoon of sugar. And that is my personal preference. You do not have to do that. I like a sweet and a hot spaghetti sauce. So I like it to be sweet, but then I also added some red pepper flakes and make it a little spicy. But again, that's optional. I'm gonna stir this in. Now, it does not look like I need to strain this. The amount of fat that came off is gonna be fine. But of course, if you wanna keep it a little bit leaner, please go ahead and strain it. So now that that's done, we just get to starting to dump the ingredients in. And this is the beauty of cooking with the Ninja Foodi, is you can really just dump them in and then we'll set the pressure and it'll be ready. I'm not gonna stir the tomatoes in. I'm gonna leave them just right on top here because I don't want some of the tomatoes to get on the bottom of the pot and could create that burn notice. So we're just gonna leave them right on top. The next thing I'm gonna do is I have 4 cups of beef broth. You could absolutely use water, or if you decide to use ground turkey, you could use turkey stock. If you wanna keep this totally vegetarian, you could use a vegetarian stock as well. And I'm gonna pour in about 3 cups. Just kind of pour that around. I'm reserving 1 cup and I'll show you why. All right, perfect. That might be about 3/4 of a cup. Now on top of that, I'm gonna put in the tomato sauce. And I'm just gonna pour that in. You'll say, oh, it looks really, really liquidy, and it does right now. So the reason why I kept the 1 cup out, or about 1 cup, was just so that we can get everything out of this jar. Like that. All right, great. Okay, the last thing are the spaghetti noodles, because this is, actually, you know what? Before I do the spaghetti noodles, let me put in a few of these. Not too many, but I just really love the spice that it gives. Okay, that's enough. The spaghetti noodles. Now I have a 1/2 pound of spaghetti noodles, which is a 1/2 of a box. You could use a full box, but what I found when I used a full box is it was too thick. I just wasn't really happy with it. So I'm going with a 1/2 of a box, which is enough for 4 servings. And take them, and this is kind of important as well. So take them, break them in half, because they're not gonna really fit totally in the Foodi hole. And then just put them over top of the top of the liquid like that. You're gonna go in this direction, and then you're gonna go in this direction. And we're gonna do that for all of them. What that is gonna do is prevent clumping of your spaghetti noodles. So again, we're gonna go that way and go this way in a crisscross fashion. You could break more than this at a time if you'd like, but when I've tried to do that, it tends to want to go everywhere. So just take little sections. And the last one. So now that they're all done in like a crisscross fashion, just take whatever you're using and just gently push them down so that all of the noodles are underneath the liquid. Tomato paste. I put this right on top. This is going to be a thickening agent for the liquid that's in there. We're not going to stir it in though. Same principle. We want to keep this a thin sauce so that it enables the Ninja Foodi to come up to pressure. But I'm going to put that right on top. Now, I've also seen some recipes that call for cream cheese. You could do both, a mixture of both, one or the other, whichever you prefer. I just wanted to keep this a traditional spaghetti sauce. All right, so we get our pressure lid on, and we're gonna turn this off, turn the pressure on high, and we're gonna go for 3 minutes. I like, and put the seal, make sure it's to seal. I like my spaghetti noodles al dente, so a little bit firm, just with a little bite to it. If you want your spaghetti noodles a little bit softer, then go ahead and increase that time to about 5 minutes. And hit the start button and allow the Ninja Foodi to come up to pressure, and then we're gonna let it cook for 3 minutes, and we're gonna slow release for another 3 minutes. So our red button has popped up, no burn notice, so far so good. And it should be turning to the 3 minutes pretty soon. Now what I'm gonna do, now that it's come up to pressure, is I wanna take this keep warm and press it again to turn it off. That way, when the 3 minutes is up of the pressure cooking, it is not gonna automatically revert to the keep warm. This is not, a deal breaker if you forget to do it, but I really don't want to overcook my spaghetti noodles. So I'm gonna turn the keep warm off so that the pot is just naturally cooling down and it's not holding it at a temperature, which I'm gonna assume is about 140 for the keep warm. So our 3 minutes of pressure cooking is complete, and you can see that the foodie just turned off. The keep warm did not go on. It will default to on, so you have to actually manually turn it on and turn it off after it comes up to pressure in order for it to be off when the pressure stops. And now we just wait 3 minutes and allow it to naturally release, and then we will vent it. Okay, so we have allowed this to natural release. And I'm gonna release the steam. And now you can start to smell it. It smells delicious. All right, so our steam is released and our red button has popped down. So now I can open up the lid here. And don't be alarmed. It's going to look really, really soupy, okay? And we're gonna stir it and then let it sit. It's important to let it sit for at least 5 minutes. It will start to thicken. So let's give it a stir. Look at that. We want to get all that tomato paste in, and that's going to help to thicken our sauce. Oh, it looks so good. The noodles look perfect. Oh, wow. We don't want it to cool off. So after I give it a nice stir, I'm gonna close this lid and just let it sit for 5 minutes. And then we're gonna plate and eat. It's already starting to thicken up some. Perfect. And I'm just gonna close the lid and we're gonna wait 5 minutes and then we're gonna get to taste it. So it's been about 5 minutes and we've allowed the sauce to thicken. And now we're gonna plate and taste. And it looks glorious. I mean, it looks perfect. So I'm just gonna get a nice bit out here and try to put it on my plate here without making too much of a mess. Wow. Looks great. It's nice and saucy, and you can always grab a little bit more sauce too and use not a slotted spoon like I have here, because obviously the sauce is going through the middle. And if you didn't know what this center section is on like a spaghetti scoop like this, it's to measure about 2 ounces of spaghetti, so it's a single serving size of spaghetti. Just a little tip there. Now, spaghetti is not complete until we get our cheese. And I like either Parmesan or Asiago or the combination of both. But you could use any kind of cheese you like. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on here. And the cheese is also going to increase the salt taste of the spaghetti. So it gives it a little bit more flavor. Get a little bit on there. If you wanted to get a little fancier, you could always take a vegetable peeler and peel like thicker sections of the Parmesan or Asiago. This really works best with a hard cheese. And it kind of adds a little interest, but not necessary. All right, let's dig in. So I can really tell that these noodles are cooked perfectly just by the way that they look. They're not over bloated, so they're not gonna be overdone. They're perfect. Absolutely perfect. What I really love is that you can still see the zucchini in there. It's very soft, doesn't impart a lot of taste, but it didn't dissolve with the short pressure cooking that we did. All right, this is absolutely delicious. Take one more bite here. Wow. It is so good and so quick and easy. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Don't forget to subscribe over there. Until next time, see you later. Bye.